The Knicks were sick. They needed medicine, and they got it in the form of the Brooklyn Nets. And it was a Brooklyn beatdown as the Knicks won for the 13th straight time against the Nets, 120-66 here at Madison Square Garden. Yes, that score is correct, 120-66. It is the most lopsided victory in Knicks history. You definitely heard that right, and it sure was a beatdown. It was exactly what the Knicks needed. I talked about them being sick. Why? They lost 9 of their last 11 games coming into this one. And how did they turn things around? When I look at my observations from this game, my number one observation is the fact the Knicks did this on the defensive end. They came out early in the fourth quarter. They were engaged. They had their mindset to playing really good defense. The communication was strong. Guys were swarming to the ball. This is a Knicks team that held the Nets to 29% shooting from the field, 28% from downtown, and they also forced 14 turnovers. So a very impressive night for the Knicks defensively. You like what you saw. Defense had been a major problem. It was the primary problem for me when you look at the stretch where the Knicks went 2-9. They showed the defensive effort that you like to see tonight. Now, yes, we don't want to get too crazy. You got to pump the brakes because it is the Nets. They are not a good team. They are at the bottom of the NBA. They are one of the worst teams in the NBA. But hey, this is what you want to see good teams do, especially when they're elite, especially when they're trying to contend for a championship. You want to bury teams. And boy, did the Knicks bury the Nets tonight with this lopsided win. You can look at that number of 120 they put up, but I really think the number you got to focus on when you think about the Knicks is the 66 that they held the Nets to. That is an NBA season low in terms of points scored in a game for a team. The Knicks holding Brooklyn to 66 points tonight. And Mike Brown, he was very impressed with the defensive effort by his team.
You know, I tell you, defensively, one of the things we've been talking about with our guys is to communicate. And their communication was off the charts. Every time down the floor something was happening defensively, I heard it from my seat. You know, just the guys talking and trying to help one another on that end of the floor. Mitch was our defensive player of the game.
Now, on the other side of the ball, we talked about that 120 that the Knicks put up. Look, they did their thing. 6 Knicks players in double figures in this contest led by Jalen Brunson. He had a strong game with 20 points. Look, the starters, they didn't even play in the fourth quarter. They were gone before then off the court. 4 of the 5 starters scored in double figures in this one. As I mentioned, 6 of the Knicks scored in double figures in this one. They also had some strong performances off the bench. You like what you saw from the Knicks offensively. You saw the spacing, you saw the movement, you saw them dishing the ball, right? And it was really good in the way that they were able to do it. 28 assists on the night. That's a great number that you like to see. So the Knicks were back to passing the ball, sharing the ball, moving with the ball. Now, all season long, we've heard Mike Brown talk about sprays. That's guys getting into the paint and then kicking it out to the open shooters. And the Knicks absolutely did that. That's the kind of offense Mike Brown wants to see. I will pump the brakes again and say I understand in the observation that this is the Nets, but it's a good start to the Knicks getting back to good habits offensively.
The first thing is the spacing has to be right in order for it to work, and our spacing was really good tonight. The next thing is guys have to make quick decisions. So if that ball gets swung, you know, Derek can't sit there and hold it, because if he does, then the defense settles, and now it's hard to get by the next guy. So those are the 2 biggest things in terms of how we can get sprays. The spacing has to be right, and then our decisions have to be quick. You can factor in pace, you can factor in ball reversals as well, but those first 2 are big ones for us to get to the paint. And then the last one is to play off 2 feet. You know, because you get to the paint, and if you jump and you play off 1 foot, now, you know, defense is too good. Now, if a guy starts to go this way, you're in trouble, and that's where turnovers happen.
My final observation from this game has to do with the Knicks bench. And look, they had some good performances off the bench, but there was one standout performance I'd like to highlight. Deuce McBride, he had 14 points, really strong in this game. But for me, the real standout was Landry Shamet. 18 points off the bench, all coming on 3-pointers. Now, he was 6 of 7 from the field, but he was perfect from downtown, 6 for 6, and it's good to see him. We talked about the sprays, getting it out to the shooters. Landry Shamet was one of the guys on the team that absolutely benefited from that. You like what you saw from him. He's just got back into the fold, playing minutes for this team again since returning from his shoulder injury, and this was his best shooting night since his return as he's trying to get back into form. Landry Shamet gives good minutes. He plays hard on defense. He gets up in guys, but also when he's able to help space the floor, that's something that can bode well for the Knicks down the stretch. So getting those minutes for him off the bench where he's shooting with confidence, that is huge, huge for the Knickerbockers, and Landry Shamet is emerging as a bench piece that Mike Brown trusts.
We obviously missed him. We missed his pace, not just in the full court when he's running to get to one of the spots in transition, but also in the half court. I mean, you could see when he goes from point A to point B, it's with some force. And then when he catches, because of that movement that he does with force, and he makes quick decisions, he gets the paint, and the defense has to react because he's a better athlete than most people think. And he played point guard in college, so he does a great job of finding his teammates. He was a big answer, or one of the big answers to us making great passes or great sprays with our ball movement tonight.
One other note in this game, you saw Mike Brown stick with his 9-man rotation. Guy who appears to have fallen out of that rotation is Jordan Clarkson. He did not get into the game until the fourth quarter with most of the bench reserves, deep in the bench reserves. So Jordan Clarkson appears to be out of the rotation. That is something to keep an eye on. Next up for the Knicks, they will travel down I-95. They'll go to Philadelphia on Saturday, and they'll be playing a team that's already beat them twice this season. So an interesting test for the Knicks. Mike Brown was asked about how do they make sure they can build off of, I don't want to call it momentum, but build off of this win, this beatdown of the Brooklyn Nets. And he said, look, he knows that adversity is going to come again for this team. Doesn't know when it's going to happen, but now they have to continue to really focus on the good things they did tonight. One, it was a defensive intensity. They started with that, and they kept that throughout the entire game. They played with fluidity on offense. That's something you'd like to see. But if they're going to be able to beat Philadelphia for the first time this season, it's going to start like it did tonight. It's going to start on defense with the effort that we saw against the Nets. Once again, a beatdown here at the Garden, 120-66. Not saying the Knicks have righted the ship, but they got exactly what they needed. A feel-good win, a really feel-good win. And yes, this is only their third win in their last 12 games, but hopefully, Knicks fans, hopefully this could be the start of them turning it around. We will see. That's going to do it from here at Madison Square Garden. We'll catch you next time on New York Got Game. New York City in the Mecca of basketball. We only care about one team. And in New York Got Game, we're locked in on everything orange and blue. I'm Dexter Henry, host of New York Got Game, where we break down the biggest Knicks moments, talk to the voices that matter, from beat writers, content creators, to super fans like yourself. And of course, former and current players. We're putting a spotlight on the Knickerbockers you need to know. And we're here live to watch and react to the biggest games of the season. From the legends who built the culture to the stars chasing the next banner. This is the show for real Knicks fans. Knicks basketball is different. New York Got Game shows you why. We're coming to you twice a week, locked in on the greatest in this city. Be sure to tune in, tap in, and run with us. Subscribe and find us wherever you get your podcasts.